go ahead and get started. So hi, everybody. My name's Kiara. I'm the training manager at InsuredMine. And today we decided to have our focus group focused on women and insurance. And we have asked some very important industry leaders to come and speak to all of you to kind of give their insights on why. Why is the discrepancies that we see within the industry itself, but also why women bring a special knack or a special part or portion in the insurance industry. And so we'll kind of explore that and chat with some experts to learn more. Next. All right, the agenda for today. So we're first just going to have our intro, introduce all of our guests or panelists, and then we'll just spend some time talking with them, asking some questions, getting their feedback on different things. And then the last 5 to 10 minutes, we'll just focus on Q&A. So while we're going through, feel free to drop your questions in the chat. And then by the end, we'll answer those questions. Perfect. Okay, so let's get some introductions and starting with Melissa.
I get to introduce myself?
Yes. So, well, I can, read the screen. So here we have Melissa Stallings. She is the principal owner of Stallings Insurance Agency. I met Melissa. I had the pleasure of meeting Melissa back in Nashville. Was it Nashville? Yeah.
Nash Vegas.
The Securus. Yeah. So I met her there and she's so bubbly and so fun. And she definitely can command a room. So Melissa, if you just want to give a general background about you.
Well, first of all, I'm honored and humbled. Thanks for the opportunity. By no means an expert. I'm humbled by the other panelists that have way more knowledge and experience than I, but I'm just glad to be on here. I love InsuredMine. I love the insurance industry. We try and make insurance fun. So I'm hoping we can add some fun to this webinar as well. A lot of people think of insurance as boring, and we definitely don't. Obviously, that's why we all love it. And we're, as Sarah said, insurance nerds as we adjust our pocket protector and our glasses. That's our sun pink, which is so fun. Started my agency back in 2008, and I am an all-female agency too. So that's a fun fact, and some of which are on the call. Woo woo! So, like I like to say in the dating world, the right man just hasn't come along yet. So, webinars are so tough. Like, you don't get any feedback. Everybody's muted.
You're doing great, Melissa. You're doing great.
No, so just honored and humbled to be here, and thanks for the opportunity.
Perfect. All right, next up we have Sarah Muniz.
So I am so excited that I was invited in and seen as a leader in the industry. This is probably one of the first times I've been called a leader, so I'm super excited about that. I've been in the insurance industry for 21 years and decided to write a book about women in the insurance industry. So I'm sure we'll get into that a little bit more, but it's truly my passion. I call it my passion project. Just spreading the word and trying to make the insurance industry better for everybody.
Perfect. Thank you, Sarah. Marianne.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for having me here. My name is Marianne Rasuli. I'm a founder and CEO of Atoll Edge Marketing. It's a marketing company specialized for insurance agents. I'm also a producer, and I own Advantage Gold Partners. Cannot say my company's name. And I do multiple things, and just been honored to be here. Thank you.
Okay, next is Kim.
Good morning. Kim Beach, and my insurance career actually started about 4 years ago. I started a scratch agency called Village Insurance. And kind of through that whole process and that experience, I realized that women were totally underserved in the insurance industry and was crazy enough to try and change that. So I launched InsuredWomen, and I am just so proud and just of all the women that I've met that have kind of come on board to not only empower women in the insurance buying process, but also empower female agents to serve these women. So thanks for having me. Super excited to be here.
Thank you, Kim. Monica.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me and inviting me to be here today. I mean, it's an honor to be sharing the screen with all these amazing women here. I am Monica. I am the CEO founder of Savital. Savital comes from the word savvy and vital. We provide virtual assistant services to especially women in insurance, but all insurance agents, independent insurance agents across the country. So very, very excited. I'm on my 17th year of my career in insurance, which is awesome. I love it. And I agree with Melissa. We are here to make insurance fun and, like Sarah, giving women a voice in order for them to excel and reach the next level. So thank you for having me and the opportunity.
Thank you, Monica. And last but the best, we have Angela.
Hi, I'm Angela Adams with Angela Adams Consulting. I started in the industry in 1985, so I know I'm a lot older than all the other panelists, I think. Started out in accounting. I graduated with a degree in accounting, went to work for a local agency, and like so many people, kind of fell into insurance. It wasn't something I was seeking. I was an accountant, and when I interviewed with a local CPA firm, they recommended me to their client, this insurance agency. Worked there for a number of years, and then several producers and I left and started a scratch agency in 1990. And I moved on to Atlanta in the late 90s and went to work for Vertafore in the buildup to Y2K, moving agencies off non-compliant systems to compliant systems. Started Angela Adams Consulting in 2001 when my son was born, because I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom and thought I'd do a little agency training, a little consulting, and be a stay-at-home mom. As it turned out, and I think a lot of people could have predicted this, I was not very good at being a stay-at-home mom. The business grew and my husband became a stay-at-home dad. And now we have 101 employees and we are 90% female, and our entire management team and executive teams are all female.
Wow, that's amazing, Angela. Thank you for sharing all that. So we'll dive deep with all of our panelists in the next 30 minutes. We have some questions that we have pre-set, but of course, again, drop your questions in the chat and we'll get to those. So let's talk about the why. So why did we decide to spend time and target to build a focus group around women in insurance? And we wanted to take a look at the demographics that we see in the industry as a whole. Next. There we go. Okay, so as of 2021, women make up almost 50% of the entire industry. We're just a little bit short, but we still do not have equal pay, which this transfers across no matter what industry you're in. We still see this discrepancy with equal pay. Next. And then over the years, we've seen an influx of women moving into the insurance agency industry. And I think a lot of the panelists have said multiple reasons as to why they made the transition. And we'll spend more time talking about that specifically. When we break down the demographics of just people, like the racial or ethnicity backgrounds of people who are in the insurance sales industry, we see it's predominantly white Americans, and Hispanic and Latino are the second largest demographic in the industry as a whole. So we wanted to spend some time focusing on women, but then also the next one that we plan to build out is how can we create equity across the demographics. Next. Here, let me request their about. Okay, so we'll spend some time talking to the panelists. and some questions for you all. So first question is, what do you think is the most significant barrier to females in insurance right now?
Are we starting with anyone in particular?
Anyone, kick it off.
Okay, so mine is assumptions. I think there's a lot of assumptions about what women are willing to do or not willing to do and what they want without actually having the conversations with them.
I also think a lot of the barriers today are women's own fears and self-doubts. Women tend not to be risk takers, and the pay discrepancy probably reflects that. You tend to have more men in sales and more women in service, and that's just going to be a different pay rate because women are less likely to be willing to go commission based. So they tend to choose the service path. And out of that service path, a lot of them do go into sales and are exceptionally good at it, but they get there through service rather than directly into sales. And that's something I hope changes as younger women are getting into insurance. But when I was coming up, it was always the men were the salesmen and the girls were the service people. And I think that's been the history of it.
Yeah, I think it's also, and I have to kind of tie it in with Angela and Sarah, you know, not just assumptions and type of like the questioning of your emotional intelligence to handle a specific task or job, but also the choice, right, of having insurance as a career. I think the educational side of things is very is lacking, and it's not demonstrated nor talked about, not, you know, incur into any side of conversation where in college or in high school where you can say, actually, you can have a career in insurance, right? So I think that's, for me, that's the biggest barrier right now, not seeing this industry as a career of choice.
Yeah, and that kind of connects to what Angela, you kind of started out doing, is you wanted to build a workforce that was ready to take on. And same, Monica, same thing with you. You wanted to build a workforce that can kind of help and support that. So do you guys have any insights on that? Like, how do we approach this barrier that we see?
Well, I think
anybody.
I was just going to say, I think a lot of it too is creating support within the agencies that are already there, because obviously most of these agencies are led by men and they don't see what we see. So it is trying to educate them that they need to create some sort of support system or mentor system so that we can bring, you know, women up, you know, through the ranks, and then also, you know, from college into the industry and create that pipeline. And I do know, like, Gamma Iota Sigma, I don't know if you guys know about that, is a fraternity that's on like 96 college campuses. And it's just focused on people that are in careers. And from what I've seen, there's a lot of women that are involved in it. So super excited about the potential of that.
Yeah, I think also, you know, for me, approaching this barrier has become more about getting women out of the woodwork and actually showcasing their stories. You know, I have a podcast and it's not completely about women in insurance, but mostly about how actually women succeed and sharing their stories of succession within the business or through their lives or whatever. And I think, you know, getting these women that have been in the insurance industry for so long out of the woodwork to share their stories of success. That's one way that, you know, we can approach these barriers, is exposing them more, giving them a voice, right? Like Sarah did a great job on her book. And there is another person who's not on this panel, but Teresa Kitchens has a podcast, Power Women in Insurance, that showcases all these amazing women doing exceptional jobs. So I think the more that we provide these women a voice in order for them to be in the spotlight, so other younger generations can actually see that is a choice, and it actually works, and it's fun, and you can make like so many options here, you know, like you can make something beautiful out of this specific industry, but they just need to know it.
Yeah. So how can go ahead?
To build on what Monica said, women in general, and I know I'm generalizing here, are not as good as men at tooting our own horns. We tend to stay in the background. I was looking at another consultant's website, and the superlatives were just everywhere. And I thought, you know, we're actually better than that, but we don't talk about ourselves that way. And I think we've just got to get over that sense that we can't toot our own horns, because we just don't do that as well.
So, yeah, and to build on, go ahead.
Oh, I'd like to actually play devil's advocate here, because I don't think the problem lies with women in the insurance industry not tooting our own horns. I don't think that we are too scared to go into sales. I don't think that we don't have everything that a man has and more to succeed. And I, for one, have always been about tooting horns and tooting other people's horns as well. I've never been afraid of that. But instead of being called positive words for being that way, a lot of times I'm insulted for being that way. I'm told to shut my mouth. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm told that I'll never move up because I speak up too much. I'm told that I have a big head when other people are called ambitious for those reasons. So I want to say that I think the biggest barrier that we have is a lack of open, safe communication in the insurance industry, and these conversations being able to be said out loud.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably both, right? Like it's probably we do have the ability, and as soon as someone says don't do that, then we shut up, right? So I think they both go hand in hand. And I think the first part is, how do we continue? You know, we first have that initial boost of confidence to be our authentic selves and toot our own horn. But then how do we overcome that barrier of when someone tells us, hey, you're doing too much, you're being too extra? So how can individual agents kind of foster that power within themselves continuously?
I think one way is to be part of a community, whatever community that is, because obviously when our voices are joined, it's a lot harder for someone to deny us. And I think it's been interesting for me to see, like over the past year, kind of during COVID, how like women are starting to come together, you know, in different ways online, in community. And I think it's excellent because, you know, we're creating a voice for ourselves and for other women, you know, who are behind us.
So just for me to add something in, I never worked in the insurance industry for a corporation. I was independent agent from day one. I made the W-2 transition from W-2 to 1099 from the mortgage sector. I was before in the mortgage sector. And then when I got laid off in 2008, I was forced to change careers. So over the past 13 years, I have trained thousands of women agents in the industry, and especially different ethnicity, and you know, providing, you know, I do think that there's a big fear from going from W-2 security income to 1099. Period. It doesn't matter if you're a woman, if you're male, it doesn't matter. There's a huge psychological shift that needs to happen for you to be commission-based only. So I never worked for a corporation where in the insurance industry to experience everything you guys are mentioning. However, you know, taking charge of your own. I mean, this country was built on small businesses, right? You know, taking charge of your own life, building your own company, you know, is the way to go. And we just need to empower more women to, you know, take that, you know, shift, make that shift, and say, you know, if you believe in yourself, you can do anything. This is the land of opportunity, and but the opportunity is not given to you. You know, you have to make an opportunity for yourself. So that's my take on this subject.
Yeah. And Melissa, if you can give a little, I wanted to bring up, you guys mentioned two big barriers. One is the fear of going 1099. And I feel like a lot of that is rooted in the security of like family. And I know, Missy, I don't know if you have a large family. And so how did you do that transition? Well, let's first, if you can explain like your family dynamics, and then how did you kind of make that switch?
It's funny because I was just unmuting myself to say one that, maybe I'm a little naive, but I kind of just ignore men when they can be chauvinistic, stereotypical, or I throw it back at them. And sometimes I can be quick-witted and quick on my feet like that and change it into humor. But I agree with all of you that, we don't toot our own horns enough. And maybe that's just the way that we were raised. I'm in Georgia, so, kind of sugarcoating is the way that we were raised. But for me, I have 4 children. They're 12, 10, 8, and 3. So for me, I think that can be a barrier. A significant barrier is the work-life balance. And I saw another question too, is there really a balance? I think the answer is no, but I'm sensitive to it because I think our biggest why we work for most of us is probably our families. So I try and have a good balance, but offer that to my employees and my people too. And they all know that family comes first. And for me too. In fact, this morning I was just at my daughter's award ceremony for her school before I came here. So that stuff's really important and I don't want to miss it. And I started at Liberty Mutual, and it was a great company. We still have Safeco as a carrier. However, there's big corporate policies that, including maternity leave, where they turn off your phone and email as a salesperson when you go on maternity leave. What?
Wow.
So you lose all your referral partners and all your contacts, and that was just crazy to me. So that's why I started my own agency, because I wanted to have something where I could have a good work-life balance, and I want to be able to offer that to all the women in my agency. So I'm really good at maternity leave. We're still currently mastering that with my employees too, who are still having children. So hopefully that kind of answers that question.
Yeah. Go ahead.
That work-life balance is why I started Angela Adams Consulting. I didn't want to put my son in daycare when I had him. And that has been the whole history of Angela Adams Consulting, is that work-life balance. We have a lot of moms in our ranks, and our work week is 30 hours to be considered full-time rather than 40, because we want our employees to have that. We want that balance. And that's, I think, partially why we're 90% women, is we've made that possible for so many women who didn't think it was.
Yeah. And Angela and Missy, piggybacking off of you guys having your own agency and hiring women to work with you, how do you continuously support your employees as they continue trying to use that work-life balance, but also encouraging them to toot their own horn and finding those leadership opportunities within your own company? Loaded question, I know.
Right. Well, I think truly men just don't understand. I mean, they don't have that mindset. And my husband's a perfect example of that. He has no idea what's on the schedule for this afternoon, or where kids need to be, or what award ceremony, or what even time they get out of school and go to school. And every family dynamic, I think, is a little bit different, but until you've actually been in that role and played in that worn those shoes, you don't have the credibility to be able to sympathize with your employees when a kid is sick, or they have to take time off, and we're always assuming that we're going to be the one that stays home with a sick child, and sometimes I'm like, oh. So I think that part of it is what kind of sets us apart. I just can sympathize with them because I fully understand and there, and I don't look at it. And I see my husband my husband owns a mortgage company, and so I see, and he's got 25 employees, and I see him empathize with them, I think, because of the reflection of seeing me empathize with my employees. So kind of trickles down from there. I think it's huge to see women leaders. The CEO for Progressive, I think she has 6 kids. And she's a dynamic lady too. And I got the opportunity to meet her a few years ago, but just seeing that we can do it, and there's not a perfect balance either. It's not perfectly level all the time, but you can fake it and make everybody think that.
For sure. So we've been spending a lot of time talking about, from the agent perspective. But Kim, I know you work with a lot of customers and you are focused on kind of the buying process and the experience.
Mhm.
So what insights can you give from that perspective?
Well, what I found in just in speaking with women was a lot of times they didn't feel like they were treated with respect or given the attention that they need. And I think women are just, ultimately a lot more empathetic and also more relational, which women want. So as far as serving women buyers, obviously I think women are the best to serve women buyers. I mean, they understand them. And also I think women are more consultative in their approach, more needs analysis, and also more, they're willing to educate women. Like they've been where these women are, and obviously just giving confidence by educating women is just a huge opportunity, that I see, to help this underserved population of women out there. And just, we're caregivers, we want to take care of people. And, I just love the thought of eventually, a lot of women just serving this population of like women, especially single women, widowed women, married women, and young single women who may not have somebody to guide them. I think women are the ones for the job. So we need to bring more women into the industry to help serve that need.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else have direct experience like working with customers and why, women are so valuable in this space?
So I'm a producer. I've been a producer in insurance agencies for almost my entire career. And I would say that I will have women switch over to me just because they want to work with another woman, just like Kim was saying. They enjoy the empathy. I've become really good friends with a lot of the women. I probably get too close too easily to people, but I really empathize with their situation. I really care about them, and they feel that. So they become lifelong clients, and just really appreciate the care and sensitivity. So I agree that women are a lot of times attracted to talking to a woman. Other than my very first agency that I worked at, the guy was very chauvinistic, and he would just basically tell people they were stupid if they didn't actually buy the policy from him and treat them poorly. And for some reason, people said yes. I don't understand why. But when they talked with me, they would actually, when I switched agencies, they switched right along with me and follow me wherever I'm going.
That's great.
I think women are naturally better at listening to understand, where men tend to focus on listening to respond, right? And that's a huge difference. And so whether the client is another woman or a man, that serves women extremely well in sales roles, because we're not trying to think about what we're going to say. We're trying to understand what the needs are, right? What are the issues that's making that client seek a new agent? What are the things that are important to them? And because we listen differently, right, to understand, I think women are better salespeople than men because we're focused on the customer, not on ourselves.
Yeah.
Yep. And our brains are wired differently. Like we can actually, we're more intuitive to what people are thinking and feeling than men. You have like more, they're more desensitized than we are. Like that's just a natural thing that we have going on in our brains, to where we can help relate and understand and truly listen to find a solution, like Angela was saying.
I do have to say though that there is certainly, a portion of men in this industry that are actually very, very, very well versed into how to actually tap into working with us, right? Like it's,
Yes.
and I have to say it because my partners are men, and I adore them. And I am not an easy person to work with. I have to say it. And when you are able at the leadership level to work in that regard, you trickle that down to not just your team, but also to your clients. And it becomes easier to have certain conversations because, like, let's say when you're prospecting and when you're trying to gain that client or, you know, help that client, you need to be able to communicate, you know, in their language, whatever that means. You need to be able to listen. And that's something that we do really, really well when it comes to like that emotional connection that we can translate and teach them how to do that. So I do have to say that there is some a space there to be a little bit more moldable for those that actually know how to interact and how to lead well in our industry.
Yes, this is all great. Thank you, guys. So now we'll spend some time going into each individual panelist, talking about their experiences and things that they've learned along the way, and then any advice that they could give based upon that experience. Montserrat, if you can refresh the screen. And you guys don't have to answer all of those questions because we've tapped into a little bit of them, but if there's anything else you'd like to add, but I think people just really want to hear like where you started and how you got to where you are. Oh, Kim, you're muted. There we go.
Thanks, sorry. I think I mentioned at the beginning, you know, I started an agency from scratch in 2018 and then saw this need to serve women and really help women in the insurance buying process. As far as the perspective as to what we contribute, I think I kind of already mentioned that as far as empathy and just being relational. How can we positively influence the buyer's experience? Yeah, I think I've already talked about that too. Just, you know, being, you know, educational with them and giving them confidence and, you know, what exactly they're buying. As far as something I'd want to add, I do think though that, you know, that women are more risk averse. I mean, I started my agency from scratch, but I had support, you know, with my husband. So somebody, you know, who doesn't have that support, could be a single mom, you know, it is scary to take that on. But, you know, as far as women, you know, we can do it. I mean, there's a lot of companies out there. Erie Insurance was the one who kind of supported me in that whole process, you know, and they'll give you loans to offset, you know, income and stuff. So it's not like you have to, you know, start with no paycheck. I mean, so I think it's just educating more women that these opportunities are out there. And these companies, you know, want to encourage more women in the business. You know, they see the need, and they also see that a lot of these, you know, white male agencies are, you know, the leaders are going away there, and they're looking for, you know, who's going to lead these next round of agencies. So I love that they're becoming, when I see like a woman who is a daughter, you know, that is now taking over the reins of an agency, I am like, yay, like, you know, that's what we need. And I think that's, you know, how things are going to change. And fortunately, there are women that are coming into the business that way. We just need more. So I say, you know, fear is a liar, and you just have to, you know, go out there and find out, you know, who can help support you. And again, it's all about having women around you that can support you in that endeavor. But, you know, certainly, you know, it can be done. And I know there's a lot of women out there that with a lot of gumption that can do it.
Kiara, you're on mute.
Sorry. Thank you, Kim. Next up, I believe, is Missy.
Yay! Woo! Yeah, I think I might have already answered mine.
Yeah, I think the one thing that would I would like to know personally is we've talked about there's a lot of fears going independent and all of that. But how do women start their own agency? What is the process? How do you overcome those fears when you're like, this is a big risk? What about this?
I'm not going to answer that question because I have staff on the I don't want to. Wow. Yeah. I was almost forced to it. So somebody else mentioned 2008 and what a scary year that, it was Miriam, that she was in the mortgage industry. So that's a big part of our referral partner business is from the mortgage industry. So why not start an agency during a recession? Right? When if you're going to fail, start then.
The recession's the best time.
So says no one ever.
Yeah.
So that's when I started my agency, and I was actually forced to because we had bought a building in the name of the insurance agency, but that's all I had is a reservation and a hope and a dream and a wish. But Liberty Mutual, they had this team called Compliance or something that found out that I a name reservation of Stallings Insurance Agency and had bought this building, but I was still like a year away from starting an agency. But I'm a believer that God has different plans for my life and my career. And so he said, no, I want you to start now. So I went and sat amongst male leaders and sat down and told them, they said, you either have to dissolve the agency or resign. And I said, well, let me phone a friend first, if you don't mind. I had said, but I came back and said, you can't force me to do either, actually. So but then I also asked him a question. I was like, tell me I'm making the wrong decision. Tell me this is, even if I dissolve the agency, it's not, you can't dissolve the desire. It's going to eventually happen. Like it's a big goal and dream and wish of mine, or change the returning plan, make me an owner type producer at Liberty Mutual where I can, own my own book of business and share in equity in the company and have my own employees. And they both looked at me and said, I wish we were at a point in our careers and weren't the primary income earners and didn't need all the benefits where we could take that risk. We wish we were you right now. And I was like, okay, that's just the answer I needed. So they put me on leave for like a week, and it was enough time for me to gather all the things that I needed to do and start my own agency kind of by force. So I didn't have time for fear, quite frankly. And I believe in Kim, what Kim said too, that fear is a liar, and a lot of your fears are never even going to come to fruition. So, but for me, and I love to give back to other agencies that have started. I've met with a number of them, especially from Liberty Mutual, that have come to me and said how I do it, how would I do it? And I love to give back because, a lot of people did it to me. So having good mentors, I think somebody else had mentioned that too, surrounding yourself with mentors who will change as you continue to grow and reach goals. And so I always have a mentor too in my career. But also having goals. We're big on goal setting in my agency with my personal staff, but having personal goals and business goals, I think, are huge in life. But looking at them regularly, not just on, New Year's Eve. So those are my two things. I think when you have goals and you see yourself achieving them, they kind of squash the fears in your life. So, goals and mentors.
Perfect. Thank you, Missy. No. Perfect.
Everybody unmute yourself. Let's have a screaming party.
Thank you. Okay, next one. Sarah.
Yay, my turn.
Okay, Sarah, I'll unmute myself and say, yes.
Yes. Okay. Melissa's going to be
the hype woman
for everybody. So my first question, I guess, is what led me to write a book about women in insurance, Undiscovered Voices. And the reason why I wrote the book was because when I was researching to see if there was a book that was specifically about our voices, our experience in the insurance industry, and why there aren't more women in leadership roles, I could not find one. I was really, really surprised that I couldn't find a book that addressed this in our industry. And when I started writing the book was when I realized why. there are so many that are trying to stop progress from happening and stop women from speaking up. I was stopped in my tracks while writing the book at one point, but I never gave up. I kept going because it was important enough for me to represent myself and represent others and how we can change our industry for the better, so that we can have more equity in leadership roles. And I really believe that once we get more equitable with male to female, I think that the ethnicities part will start attracting more of that, and will start becoming more equitable in that too. And in my belief, but and then the other part of writing the book was I quite frankly got tired of being put in my place. I was put in my place my entire career, and I just got fed up and decided to speak up. So, and it gave me that platform to do that. And then, why do you think women are overlooked in the workplace? I think that a lot of times we get stuck in service roles rather than inline business roles. And that's almost created by design, by leadership. They see service positions as not moving up past maybe a lower management level. Whereas if you're in an in-career position, you have more likelihood to move up, but usually the men are typically the ones that get the in-business positions, and women get the in-service or positions. And that needs to change. It shouldn't matter which way you go, you should still have opportunity to move up. And the way that I believe that will start changing is that women you need to find an advocate for yourself in your company. I know we talk a lot about women advocating for themselves. For me personally, advocating for myself has not worked. It's only gotten me in trouble. So what I have found in my research and looking at what I was writing and the struggles that a lot of women have is you need to find somebody who can speak up on your behalf and advocate for you. Allies are great, mentors are great. And that's where we take the men that want to help move women up in the insurance industry and really advocate for them. That's when we take our relationships and build that bridge to a better future for everyone and the insurance industry.
Perfect.
Yes,
Thank you,
Sarah, good job.
Yeah. Yeah, that was perfect. All right, so now we're going to hear from two people who own their own business. They kind of are on a different sector of insurance, but I think their perspective is valuable as well. So Miriam, if you can just give a overall, like, what do you do? How did you get here? I know you gave a little bit about it, but just your career transitions, I think is so cool.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. So I start with where I came to United States when I was 19 years old. I was born in Iran, but raised in Germany. So I came from Germany to United States, like not understanding what I'm doing. I was just followed my brother's footsteps and like crazy enough. So I always say God loves me because I was introduced in the industries that was just like, money making industry. So at very early on in my 20s, I got introduced into the mortgage sector. And in early 2000s, if you entered that sector, it doesn't matter what part you were in, you just made great income. I started as a small processor. I worked myself up to an underwriting position, and then somehow, some way, they said, no, you're good at sales too. But then I had a big fear of selling. I don't like salespeople, so I buy, but I don't like to be sold. So but my last position in the mortgage sector, I was a sales director, training 30 to 50 loan officers on how to do loans. And I was overseeing the processing department, the underwrite, the escrow department. So at age 20, I just made 6-figure income, and that was a big deal. So at age 25, I was able to buy my own condo with my own money. And that was a big deal for me because I don't have rich parents. I'm not married. I have no kids. So, doing it by myself with my own money, that was a big deal. And then reality hit, and that was 2008. 2008, when the economy crashed, the mortgage business crashed, although my boss, who was my father figure back then, he said, Miriam, I got you back, anything happens to you, that I'm gonna take care of you. I was the first one to get laid off. And because I was one of the highest paid employees. So then, I don't know if you guys ever gotten laid off or not, but it's worse than getting dumped by a guy. So it was like financially, emotionally, I was devastated. But funny enough, my broker said right before he laid me off, he actually found this IMO that I'm with right now. He introduced me to the insurance sector. He said, Miriam, it's a good business. It's recession proof, and the pay is great. So we want to add the services to our mortgage company. So I started learning the industry. So when I got laid off, I had options to go get another W-2 job because I was very known in the industry as for my work ethics. But make the long story short, I chose the path to go for building my own, business and become an independent agent. So it was definitely a transition. There was a lot of fears. There's a lot of, but like I said, God loves me, like God loves everybody. The CEO and founder of the IMO I'm with, he saw something in me and he took me under his wing and he taught me the business. And I'm very grateful to him to mentor me that at that time. It definitely was a big transition because I didn't know anybody. I didn't have family here. I never sold in my entire life before. I didn't like being a salesperson, but he helped me to get over my fears and, no, it's not a no for you. It's not now, or, all the stuff. So I went through a lot of mentorship classes. I spent a lot of money on self-development. I would say you should put 10 to 20% of your income in self-development and invest to yourself. So make the long story short, I partnered up with a PNC broker and I became their life and annuity expert. And that's how I gained a lot of knowledge. And then in 2015, one of my very good friend, Gary Dempsey, he told me, read this book, Millionaire Real Estate Agent, and how real estate agents, develop their book of business. And I implemented how to build my own book of business with technology and, and doing the right marketing to build my own database. I partnered up with many CPAs, with a lot of professionals that saw the and referred me a lot of clients. So that was my being a producer path. And then later on in 2020, when the COVID happened, right? That's when we did another transition. That's when Total Edge Marketing was born, because all the stuff that I did that helped me and developed me and got me where I was, we just duplicated a lot of people. And we basically built this company, Total Edge Marketing, and we partnered up with InsuredMine. I'm so grateful to them because their software is amazing. Their CRM software is amazing. And over the years, I have trained a lot of female. I do believe that females are much stronger than men, although we love men, but when it comes to the work ethic and all that, being able to do multiple things at the same time, I think women are better at it, right? So I'm juggling multiple projects all the time. I love it. And Tool Edge Marketing has been doing great. The partnership with InsuredMine, but what I believe in, everything I do, I always try it on myself, and when it works, then I help other people to make sure that they can implement it as well. So that's been my career path. I'm very grateful, and thank you for having me here.
Thank you, Miriam. Thank you. Everyone says you should write a book. So what was the name in the chat? Can you drop the name of the book that you read that inspired you?
The book that, so it's Millionaire Real Estate Agent. So when it comes to marketing, it's from Gary Keller, founder of Keller Williams. So when it comes to marketing, when it comes in insurance business, we're just living a dinosaur years when it comes to marketing. So real estate agents, they get a real license and they look like they're already selling a lot of homes. So I've used a lot of I've been very big on marketing, social media, how to do it strategically, and also how to build a referral-based book of business. That's the part.
Perfect. All right. We have about 10 more minutes left in our call. We're going to hear from Monica. So I think this is a good segue into tech and how efficiency is key for growing a business. And then last, Angela will kick us off with her perspective on building relationships is the key. So Monica.
All right. Hi, everyone. So looks like the question here, what are factors that contribute to an inclusive and diverse workplace? Well, I think when you bring people from different areas, different countries, different cultures, you get different perspectives. Right now, I am Puerto Rican with an Indian last name and based in New England for the past 17 years. So I've seen it all. But my entire team is actually in Pakistan, and from the agency side, we do work a lot with the Hispanic community. So by going across the country, helping other agents, independent agency owners succeed, we can see how integrating different cultures, different backgrounds, different people into your ecosystem actually can help broaden your perspective from a whole different reasons, a whole bunch of different reasons. So it could be, from a processes standpoint, just overall sharing different cultural backgrounds, overall sharing different types of beliefs. Some people are more inclined to, certain aspects of processes than others. And it's always this amazing dynamic where it's a melting pot, right? And you always have ideas growing. So from my standpoint, the diversity, the inclusivity, and the different, cultural backgrounds that you can bring into your workplace will make you only richer, just because you will have that exposure in access to other side of things that you might not have experienced before. The other question is, how can agents boost their career by being an expert on systems and applications like InsuredMine? Well, this is a great question, because I do work with a lot of different programs out there, just because every single agency that we help is in a different system, right? They might have, similar AMSs, but they all have different marketing tools, and it is so amazing to be able to kind of like give them a solution that they don't have to use 20 logins for, because the time that you spend just trying to figure out, where do I send this from? Think about if you have 3,000 clients during your renewal process. And for every client, you have to go into 3 or 4 different systems to do specific things. That's 3 or 4 specific systems by 3,000 clients by 2 minutes each. Think about all the time that you are spending just researching or searching, right? Where, at least in InsuredMine, you have it all in one platform. So how I see it, how I see agents boosting their career by becoming experts on systems and applications is saving time. Time is money, and money is happiness. Has something to do with happiness. It's not full happiness, but you know what I mean. So it's basically, that drive to be able to always want to be more efficient. Let's see. What are 3 keywords you use to describe the insurance industry? Oh, Lord. I will say, I think somebody used the word before, but I'm going to say right now, prehistoric, upcoming, and opportunity. How about that?
Those are great words. Those are great. Yeah, I think that kind of, yeah, perfect. Yeah, it's kind of like a summary of what we've been talking about all day.
Yes.
We've been operating in this past practice. We're trying to push forward and evolve. And the reason women should join in is because it does offer a lot of flexibility and opportunity for each person. So perfect. Good job, Monica.
Definitely.
All right. Last is Angela. So Angela, can you tell us, and we all know this, relationship building is key for building your book of business. So if you can speak to that.
I think women are naturally good at building and fostering relationships. And we talked a little about that. I think listening is key. I think listening to understand is key. I think women naturally sell differently than men do. And it's better, whether the client is a man or a woman, the sales process is better. And the sales process that most women use fosters that relationship. I think somebody said it earlier, they end up being friends with a lot of their customers just because that's the kind of relationship they built during the sales process, which then helps the retention. It just makes the relationship better. And because you know your customers, you are more in tune with what their risks are and what their needs are.
Perfect. Yeah. And last is, which happens a lot within when agency owners and agents, they inherit a list of leads, or they want to reach back out to previous prospects that they worked with while they were at Liberty Mutual or Farmers. So how can they rekindle that relationship with previous customers?
I think, and InsuredMine does this, some of the drip nurture. So you're not just calling them 30 days before they come up for renewal. You're contacting them in some way, and hopefully in an automated way, because we don't want to be prehistoric, all through the year, so that when you get to their renewal date or it's time to start working on their account, it's not like, hey, I ignored you for a year, but now I know you're coming up for renewal, so now I want to be best friends, right? Sending those drip nurture pieces on a regular basis, not too much to be annoying, but enough that they know you're thinking about them. makes it so much easier when it's time to regather information because it's not coming out of the blue.
Right. Yeah, that's perfect. All right, guys. Thank you so much, ladies, for participating in our women's focus group. We really appreciate your perspective. And each one of you offered something different, which is important, right? How do we get the whole landscape in 1 hour?
Yeah.
So I think we've done a great job of kind of hitting every piece. We've talked about marketing, we've talked about families, we've talked about how do we become more confident in ourselves. And it looks like in the chat, a lot of people are interested in those books that you guys have mentioned and the resources. Montserrat, I think she'll end us off.
Yes, I'm going to end the meeting, but also, well, thanks to everyone that joined the meeting, that
Thank
joined
you.
this group. Thanks, girls, for joining us, for accepting being part of this Women in Insurance. We are so excited to have you here. And well, do not forget also to join for the next focus group that is renewals. Then we have life insurance and service and claims.
Perfect.
Thank
And then once
you.
yeah, and for all our InsuredMine users, once a week, I have weekly trainings, and it's going to piggyback off what we speak of that current week. So this week, it's just how do we clean up our book of business and organization of our accounts, and that's going to be important for when we talk about next week on renewals and how do we generate and manage our renewal process using e-signature and InsuredMine. And then lastly, we'll cover single contact drip. So feel free to join us there. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. You guys know me, so I'm around. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much
Yeah.
for having us. This was a
Yeah.
great
Thank you,
session.
Miriam.
Yeah,
Thank
great
you.
job.
Thank you, Angela. Thank
Bye,
you, Sarah.
ladies.
Bye, Kim.
Good luck.
Thanks, Miriam. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.